yo, E, you got to discipline yourself. I started looking at Mother Teresa, Gandhi, and I was like, yo, bro, Gandhi would go fast from sex, and he was married. He would fast from talking. You know, I just started watching these great people and was like, yo, these people fast, and not about fasting, like that's not the piece, but they were very disciplined people, and they would not allow their exterior world to dominate or destroy their internal world. I just like, yo, I want to get to a place where I can control me. My family members have grown. I lost an uncle who cirrhosis of the liver, brilliant man, but just drinking. And I was like, yo, I do not want to. My father was a substance abuser for years. I was like, yo, I don't want a life where something else is controlling me. You know, like for real, when I left home and said, I don't want to be controlled no more, like I meant that. Like I don't want nothing to control me but me. And so I got to put myself under extreme discipline to make sure I'm free. So when people see me, you get up at 3, you don't drink, you don't smoke. I'm not doing that because I think I'm better than nobody else, or I think you're gonna go to hell because you had a drink. I want to control, I want freedom. And for me, disciplining myself means more freedom. And the less you discipline yourself, people who, I told my son the other day, I was like, yo, son, I don't not want you to have fun. I just seen a history of people who just have fun. Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween, New Year. Yeah. They're the people who
Thursday night, Friday night.
Oh man, every night. Yeah. They're the people who end up in their 20s having a great deal of fun, but in their 40s and 50s, they working for somebody, and I'm not saying nothing wrong with cleaning toilets, but they doing something they don't want to do for the rest of their life, and they can't retire because they played so much. You know, so for me, I just look at Venus and Serena, Michael Jackson, when he used to like 5 and 6 just dancing all night. I just think the more a man disciplines himself, the greater, it don't mean it's gonna happen, but the greater the probability that he has this sense of freedom.
We kind of have this idea that, well, you're free as a child, and then let me see if I can put this properly, that you have a certain delightful, wonderful, positive freedom as a child, and then that's given up as you approach adulthood. But the truth of the matter is that you have a lot of potential as a child, but none of that is capable of manifesting itself as freedom before you become disciplined. And discipline is a matter of the imposition of order, and the order is necessary, especially for people who are hopeless and nihilistic. And lots of people are hopeless and nihilistic, way more people than you think. And part of that is because no one's ever really encouraged them. And so the book is in part a matter of encouragement. It's like, lay a disciplinary structure on yourself, get the chaos in check, and then you can move towards a state that's freer, because it's discipline first. Like, look, if you're going to become a concert pianist, there's going to be several thousand hours of extraordinarily disciplined practice. That's the imposition of order on your potential, let's say. But what comes out of that is a much grander freedom. And so in virtually every freedom that you have in life that's true freedom is purchased at the price of discipline.
I do think that and it's not just in sport, but with other things, I do believe that the more you repeat certain things, whether it is writing, working on your, whether it's cursive letters or whatever it is, like when you work on something and you keep doing it over and over, it's inevitable that it will get better. And by that, you're creating this feeling of repetition, which leads to discipline. Like, you can do it over and over again. And that's one of my first coaches, Robert Lansdorp, who I speak about in the book. Like, that was his philosophy, I would take a lesson from him, and his philosophy was just hitting and grinding, and it wasn't about patterns or anything, which, I could get from somebody else. But what he gave me is that feeling that I could hit the ball from any part of the court and feel like I could do it with closed eyes and make it and know exactly where it's going. And for me, it started at a young age. Like, my mom would make me memorize this Russian literature that I did not appreciate at 5 years old. It was very difficult, and I didn't know what it meant, but I would do it, and I would memorize it, and then I would feel that I accomplished something. I don't know why, but the repetition led me to this discipline, and I think that helps with mindset.
My guaranteed formula for success that is 100% proven for my life and other people I've taught. Outwork, outimprove, outlast, and out-strategize. Again, outwork, outimprove, outlast, out-strategize. What you're looking on the screen here, look at those 4 again. What you're looking on the screen here, Which of those 4 things that you're looking at, the outwork, out-improve, outlast, out-strategize, which of those 4 things do you think comes last? Meaning you'll learn the latest. It's out-strategize. Why? Because that requires a lot of experience. It's like you got to go through, like a general in a war, right? You got to go through so many different wars to learn different strategies and what works and what tactics work and what doesn't work. That's something you got to be working on, right? However, the other 3, outwork. If a guy works 80 hours a week and you work 40 hours a week, you can't compete with that guy. If you yourself are reading 2, 3, 4 books a month and you're developing your mind and your competitor is not, and he only reads 1 or 2, and you study in industry articles and all this other stuff, and they're not, you're studying how to recruit CEOs, CFOs, COOs, CMOs. What is the best way to stretch this $1 million investment that I got to make this happen? Who should I talk to be part of a group for mentors and CEOs group and all these? Who should I network with? What community should I be a part of? Who's the best engineers, IT firm to hire? What are these competitors doing? What are some of the guys that are not even in my mark? If you start studying those industries, somebody else isn't. It's tough to compete with you. And then outlast. Some people work 80 hours a week for a year, and that's great. But they can't work 80 hours a week for 3 years. Some work 80 hours a week for 3 years. But you work 80 hours a week for 5 years. You outlasted the guy that did 3 years or 1 year. They can't compete with you because the compounding effort favors you. So these 4 things that you look at on the screen require one thing, and that's discipline. And the discipline part, you don't hear a lot about. That's the things people do when nobody else sees. That's when you win.
These thoughts that we have, we think they're our thoughts, so it makes it really hard to change them. And people meditate and try to not think thoughts. Show me somebody who's done that successfully, consistently. They're full of shit. Everybody, the mind thinks thoughts. But here's the distinction. If I told you 100 years ago we're going to fly to the moon and back, you would have called me a lunatic. That's where the term comes from. And people still use it, and it doesn't make any sense because a lunatic is somebody who thought we go to the moon and back and we've done it, right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's where the term comes from. That's where it comes from. But if I would have told you 100 years ago that there's going to be a box in your pocket and you're going to pull this thing out, you're going to hit a couple buttons, and then it's going to capture invisible waves that are drifting around the earth and bring the waves in, and you're going to see somebody on the other side of the earth and you're going to talk to them, you're totally nuts. Thoughts are those invisible waves. And when you use your body in a certain way, if I sit like this, I'm going to tap into a different channel of those waves than if I'm sitting like this. Kind of like a TV set. If I turn one channel, it might be a comedy channel. I'm going to see a lot of laughter. Turn another one, it's a horror channel. Turn another channel, it's a romance channel. This is what changes which of those waves you touch in. So if you can start to realize that your thoughts that you think are your thoughts, there's nothing unique about your thoughts. They've been around for thousands of years. You're just tapping into them because of what you're doing with your body that makes you either fearful or passionate or courageous or whatever you're feeling. As you go in those states, you get different thoughts. So what I want people to see is that learn how to just see those thoughts go by. Learn how to be entertained by those thoughts. Because I have crazy thoughts, but what I've gotten good at is going, look at that crazy thought. That's not me, that's the mind. Not your mind, because if it's you, how do you change you? Pretty hard. But I really, truly know I haven't heard a thought come out of you that's original. You've called them your thoughts, but they're not. You've stolen them. They've been around forever. When you see that, it's easier to let go of them. And letting go of those thoughts is one of the ways that you free yourself. And again, the more you do it, just like a muscle, you get better and better and better. And all of a sudden, the shit that used to make you crazy or stressed out, I'm like, how many things have you worried about that never came to be? And some people, their life is good, so they worry about other people, so they're never not worried, right? So it's really just a pattern. If you want wealth, real wealth is not just money, it's emotion. It's like, what are we really after in money? You don't want money, you don't want pieces of paper with the pictures of deceased notables on it. You want what you think money will give you. You think it'll give you freedom or security or stability or love. It won't give you love, it'll get you sex, it won't get you love, money won't, right? So really what you're after is the emotion. And so what I want people to get is the emotion they want now, and all it is a new habit. It's learning to discipline this mind, right? By realizing the mind thoughts are out there and letting them float by and constantly coming back to what can I love about this? What can I appreciate? It's like, if you can learn to love or at least appreciate, start to enjoy the things that you used to get upset about, how much freedom would you have? How much more joy you'd have? And I know people who got billions of dollars, I've coached them, who was like, holy they live in scarcity all the time. One man, I'll never forget, he's screaming at his wife. I'm in the meeting, I'm in the house, and he's screaming at his wife because she spent some money on a bunch of outfits and stuff like that. He's a multi-billionaire. He couldn't spend all his money in his lifetime, and then he's totally upset at his daughters in her 20s who spent some money too. And I'm like, I pulled him aside afterwards and I said, what do you do this for? And what do you do it for? And he's like, well, it's the principal thing. I said, no, the principal thing is, do you love these people and do you want them to have an abundant life? When you you don't have one loss, but you live like you're poor, you know? And it's like, I finally got through to him. But so many people, that's why I say money doesn't change you. Money magnifies who you are. So you want to expand the depth of who you are and free yourself from suffering by just knowing it's a pattern of thought, and you can change the pattern of thought.